Welcome to this week's Cattle Call. I'm Susan Littlefield on the Rural Radio Network. First and foremost, our thoughts go out to all you cattlemen out there. Now, nothing worse than trying, if you're calving at this point, to keep those calves going, keep those mama cows going, but just keeping those cattle in the feedlots and yourself warm as much as possible. We're going to talk about how this weather is really factoring into what we see in the cattle markets today. As we record this on the Thursday, this is the fourth day of the roll. We'll talk a little bit about that. And we'll look at the boxed beef numbers. And really, because of the weather, or how the Packers doing. We'll get all those details and more today as you see Brad Kooima joining us. He's with Kooima Kooima Varilek out of Sioux Center, Iowa. And I'll tell you, there is nothing more bitter than having to go out and do some chopping of the ice because those cattle want to drink.
For sure, Susan. Thanks for having me on, and I want to echo those sentiments too. As a kid growing up, I remember the 1975 blizzard when I was a junior in high school, where we got cattle fed twice out of 5 days. They walked over the fences. That was kind of the blizzard of Northwest Iowa, and yep. I remember we didn't have the kind of equipment then that we did now, but. And the thing is, soapbox. These people that think that this rancher and farmer doesn't care deeply about what he's doing and the livestock and the animals that he's been entrusted to care for, it hurts them like people can't understand. So yes, I know they're going to go out there, do their best, and they're going to lose a couple, and they're going to have sick cattle, and they're not going to grow for 2 weeks. And our sympathy. Let's hope that they get rewarded with a higher price. That's the way it used to work, right? Right. And maybe if I could reflect on that a little bit too, because I'm a little bitter about the fact that I think even though we're $1 higher right now, that I think fed cattle are still underperforming based on the kind of weather that we've had and what the forecast says we're going to have here over the weekend. I remember the old days. When you had a pit and that was the hub for information. All information kind of came in and out of that hub, and we would talk about, how the cattle have backed off on feed or what kind of inefficiencies you've had after you've gone through a period where arguably we maybe have had the best growing period here, where the cattle never missed a beat, never had a bad day, and now to smack them with this, especially big cattle, are going to really get hurt by this. But don't forget, that's not the kind of market we have anymore. Now we've got a bunch of computers that frankly don't know the difference between a steer and a heifer, and probably haven't figured out a way to build that into their little program, what 45 below zero looks like and 24 inches of snow. But and a friend of mine used to say, Charlie used to say, it once in a while it pays to have dirt on your boots. He might have used a different noun. But we'll see how this transpires. Don't forget, we also got futures discounted to the cash. My brother just sold 2 pens of cattle for me for $1.75 picked up, weighed with a 3 in the morning. Okay, so fed cattle are 171 something. It still seems to me the basis is goofed up. We'll see. The market's right every day, right?
So how long do you think the market will play this weather happenings, or is it just going to kind of blow it off?
Well, not for your Kansas listeners. I'm not picking on you, but I honestly, this next band is going to catch a narrow strip of northeast Nebraska, northwest Iowa. Maybe from a market standpoint, if it was a little further south into a little heavier belt where there's more population of the cattle, might make more difference. But I don't know. I talked to a guy in Hereford, Texas this morning. The weather's not great there either. And the bitter cold temperature is going to get all the way down to there. So, the pattern of this weather forecast, every morning you get up, turn the thing on and go, geez, that's even worse than yesterday. I mean, that's what this morning's deal was, right? All of a sudden we're supposed to get another 8 inches of snow, where yesterday they were talking about, no, it's going to be south of you guys. And so, unfortunately, sometimes when these patterns start, and we all know it, La Nina now, right? That if there's a lot of winter to come. I think this changes. It's a bit of a game changer, because what's wrong with the market was that we lost leverage and the cattle got big. I think that's over. These cattle are going to lose weight now, and you're going to struggle to get it going again.
So let's talk about the fact that this is a Thursday that we're doing this. And so, fourth day of the roll is underway. We're kind of moved past it and moving forward on it.
Well, that's kind of my excuse by the February. Part of the reason, I guess, I think that the February has been underperforming, Susan, is that you've absorbed a lot of fund roll. You also have what they call a reallocation, where the funds are going to have maybe 7 or 8,000 less long cattle in their mix. Yeah, don't ask me how that all works, but it has to do with the price and the volatility and all the rest. So there's a little less buying coming on this roll. I guess I look at it a little bit the other way and go like, well, if all these people are so bared up for the first quarter, when is the short roll going to happen? One of those short hedgers going to roll back to April, which has been about $3 over the Feb, not quite anymore. I would think that factor into, but there's no question that the funds movement impacts prices and will sometimes fly in the face of what seems to be obvious fundamentals, at least on a short-term basis.
Well, boxed beef is definitely, I was just pulling the numbers up here while you were talking. And at the midday, choice was up 252, selects was up 305.
Yeah. And, like you said in the little, your preamble there, we certainly care about what the Packers are doing, right? I mean, oh yeah, sort of. What's happened is you've had a lot less slaughter lately. Okay. And that's because of the weather. Now, I would suggest that there's also some seasonality too, where you broke the beef hard the week of New Year's and the week after New Year's, which is seasonal on the high price cuts, the rib cuts, and then that seems to trough out. So there's some of this seasonal thing where it should start to come back already. But certainly, I think the big impact is, not being able to get enough cattle slaughtered. Grand Island, I understand, is still dark today. Dakota City, there's over and over, a lot of these places have lost a shift or two with the severe weather, can't get their help in. So yeah, two-edged sword. Some people might say, well, that's bearish, we're not getting cattle dead. I'd say I think that the weight loss more than offsets those cattle. But packer margins certainly have improved here again with a nice up in the beef, and that's a good thing, I guess.
As we get ready to wrap up, we usually don't talk about the stock market happenings, but we've been hearing a lot about the recession and consumer confidence, and that does have some effects on what we see movement across that meat counter.
Yes. We could talk on this for 10 minutes, but we're not gonna. How long have we talked about this potential recession, right? And years, it feels like. The fact that it looks like they're going to ease here and lower these interest rates would tell you that that's also what these economists are expecting, that the economy has slowed enough now that they dare to pull these interest rates back down. So it is what it is. Consumer confidence is if I knew that, I'll tell you what, we would only open up to go to the bank on Friday. That's a difficult thing to perceive. Now, on that topic, though, I spent quite a bit of time with helping write an article here the other day, Tuesday, I guess, talking about the retail price of beef. You got all these talking heads on TVs talking about the food cost and stuff like that. And I want to raise my hand and go like, actually, you know what? Loin prices this week in the 13 major cities are less than a year ago. Sirloin prices are less than a year ago. If I look at the most popular hamburger, 81%, it's 2 cents higher than a year ago. 2 cents. I mean, it's negligible. I mean, this notion that beef is the problem with this food cost inflation, it's just not accurate, so I don't know. But if you tell the consumer that, well, this stuff's awful high, they back away, whether it's high or not, right. I think that we've got ourselves priced back into where this meat will move good. When you slow down the rate gain like you're going to here, at least in my neck of the woods with this weather thing, I just feel like the market's got it has a lot better feel to it, to me anyway.
All right. Well, you stay warm, and I know you've got folks helping you out as well, taking care of all your livestock. So be careful, and we'll talk to you next week.
Perfect. You take care. Thanks.
Wait, before you go, though, best way for folks to get a hold of you.
Oh, sorry. Well, check us out at kkvtrading.com. Okay, or 712-722-0023 is our phone number.
All right, that is this week's Cattle Calls. We always remind you commodity futures and options do involve a substantial risk of loss not suitable to all investors. And that's the Cattle Call on the Rural Radio Network.